First of all, I would like to congratulate my fellow inductees who are all very, very well deserving. Congratulations. I only have a few minutes up here, so I'm going to keep it short, no pun intended. But if I were going to be up here and thank all the owners and trainers, there had to be hundreds of them. I see Dan Lozelle here too, our great track announcer from Woodbine. Danny, thanks for coming. Danny, when you called all those Queen's plates, were you a little bit nervous on the microphone? Well, I'm a little bit nervous now too. Anyways, I just remember all those mounts. Had to be hundreds of trainers, hundreds of owners. So if I were to thank all of them, I'd be here all day. I can't remember all their names, but I'd like to thank them. But you know what? There were three people that were most instrumental in the success of my career. And I'm going to mention those three gentlemen. Two of them were in the video, but one of them actually was my Uncle Webb bride. And I was 16 years old. I remember I was in high school, I think it was grade 10, something like that. And he asked me what I was going to do when I got out of school. Well, of course, when you're in grade 10, you haven't gone to college yet. I really didn't have any idea. Well, he said to me, he said, well, you're the right size. You should actually think about becoming a jockey. So that actually sparked my interest. I knew what jockeys did, but you know, not my wildest dreams to ever think I would become a jockey because I had no horse racing background whatsoever. The only time I was ever on a horse was twice when I was like a little kid and I was scared to death, so I didn't think that was going to happen. But when he mentioned that to me, I got to thinking about being a jockey. I remember I was on the wrestling team in grade 10, and I thought, well, you know, I'm in pretty good shape. Maybe I could try something like that. So I started bugging him to take me to the racetrack. Well, I grew up in Oshawa, so right down the road was Winfield Farms. So we actually called Winfield Farms, and as I said on the video, my uncle called and said he wanted to set up an interview with E.P. Taylor about me becoming a jockey, and you knew that wasn't going to happen, but thank goodness for me, it was my Uncle Webb bride, took me to Winfield's, and we met a trainer by the name of Duke Campbell, who was mentioned on the video. And Duke Campbell ended up becoming like my second father. I remember he used to always wear this big Stetson cowboy hat. He had the cowboy boots, and he was about 6'2", and he was from Western Canada. And I remember going to meet him for the very first time at Winfield's, and he looked at me and he said, all right, well, let me see your hands. I thought, uh-oh, maybe he wants to see if I'm a hard worker. So he looked at my hands and he said, well, you have small hands. And he looked down at my feet, and I think I take like size 5. So he said, it doesn't look like you're going to grow that much. I guess if I had like size 9 shoes, he would have said, you better go home because you're not going to be a jockey, you're going to grow too much. So he actually took me under his wing, took me to Woodbine Racetrack. And on the video I mentioned, he taught me all the fundamentals about becoming a jockey. I groomed horses for a year. I exercised horses for a year before I got to ride my first race. And I'll never forget this one instance. I used to bug Duke Campbell all the time. Am I ready to start riding? Am I ready to start riding? He said, no, I'll know when you're ready to start riding. Well, one day at Greenwood, I was galloping a horse, and this was about a year into galloping horses, and Duke Campbell put me on this horse, and his name was Morning Rounds. And this horse was so tough to gallop. Every morning he went out there, he ran off with everybody. So this one morning, Duke Campbell thought, I think I'll put the draw reins on him. And draw reins, if you can picture this, they actually don't hook to the bit. They actually loop through the bit. They actually hook onto the girth. So when you pull on the horse, it's actually like a pulley effect, and it pulls his head down. So this Morning Rounds, he's at Greenwood one day, and the reins actually worked. I could gallop him in the mornings. But this one morning, I'm at Greenwood, and I'm going around the track, and everything's going fine, except my girth broke. So if you can kind of picture it, I started gathering up all these reins, and now my saddle's loose, so I had to kick my feet out of the stirrup. Now I'm bareback, and I don't have a steering wheel. And this Morning Rounds is on the outside fence, and he's going as fast as he can go. Well, Duke Campbell, being the horseman he was, he came out on the pony, and he finally picked Morning Rounds up and got me stopped. My life is flashing in front of my face, and Duke Campbell looks over and he goes, well, you didn't drop the saddle, you didn't drop the reins, and you didn't fall off. You're about ready to start riding races. Scared to death. Well, I was about a year into galloping horses, and shortly after that, I had an opportunity to ride my first race. And he introduced me to a gentleman who was also on the video, and that was Colin Wick. And Colin Wick, of course, was very instrumental in me becoming a top jockey. He He had 2 leading routers before myself, and he was, when I look back now, not only the best agent in Canada, but maybe the best agent in North America. So I had Uncle Webb introducing me, Duke Campbell, teach me all the fundamentals, and then Colin Wick is my agent. I couldn't go wrong. But Mayor Hazel, it'll always be Mayor Hazel to me. Bonnie, congratulations on being mayor. But Mayor Hazel will always be Mayor Hazel to me. It's fantastic to see you here. Thank everyone else for coming out. This is a tremendous, tremendous honor. I want to thank the committee for this Honor Legends Row. This is fantastic. I have one more reason to come back now to visit the great city of Mississauga. And as John mentioned earlier, my 2 boys are here, Bradley and Russell. They're 22 and 20 years old now. Born right here at the Credit Valley Hospital just down the road. And my lovely wife, Lisa. We have so many great memories here in Mississauga, and I always look forward to coming back, and this is a tremendous day to definitely come back. In fact, my wife, Lisa, loved Mississauga so much when we sold her house in Mississauga, she told the new owner, she said, "This will always be my house, you know." Anyways, I want to thank a lot of my friends and relatives for being out here today, taking the time out to come out and spend this special day with me, and thank you very much again.